There is something that genuinely irritates me. It is watching people dump their cash into stocks like they're playing blackjack at a casino, completely blind to the fact that they're simultaneously carrying credit card balances, charging them 22% interest. It is the financial equivalent of trying to fill a swimming pool while someone's actively drilling holes in the bottom, then acting confused about why the water level never rises. I'm Leo, and I'm somewhat obsessed with dissecting optimal money strategies and understanding why most people seem hell-bent on doing everything backwards when it comes to accumulating wealth. If you actually want to comprehend the proper hierarchy for deploying your capital instead of just hurling money at whatever catches your attention this week, smash that subscribe button and drop a like. If this ends up preventing you from lighting your money on fire, here is something that should terrify you. Recent statistics show that 1 out of every 3 Americans has absolutely zero emergency savings. The median emergency fund balance across the country sits at a pathetic $500. $500 that is less than what most people spend monthly on their car payment, and it has actually declined from $600 just 12 months ago. Yet these same individuals are asking me whether they should be buying individual stocks or diving into cryptocurrency. It is like asking which luxury sports car you should purchase when you can't even afford to repair the broken transmission in your current vehicle. The reality is there exists a specific hierarchy for investing your money that can literally rescue you from tens of thousands in wasted dollars throughout your lifetime and dramatically compress your timeline to financial freedom. But the vast majority of people completely disregard this sequence because it lacks the excitement of selecting the next explosive stock or attempting to predict market movements. They want to skip directly to the entertaining parts without executing the unglamorous foundational work that actually determines outcomes. Today, I'm going to walk you through the precise hierarchy you should follow when deploying your capital, step by systematic step, so you can maximize returns while minimizing risk, and why health savings accounts might represent the most powerful investment tool that most people are completely overlooking. But before we examine the specific stages, let me explain why scrambling this order can be so financially catastrophic. Imagine constructing a house. You wouldn't begin by selecting designer light fixtures and marble countertops if your foundation was crumbling and your roof was leaking water. Yet, that is precisely what most people execute with their finances. They get enthusiastic about investing in the latest popular ETF while simultaneously carrying high-interest debt that is mathematically guaranteed to obliterate any gains they might generate. The opportunity cost of bungling the sequence is enormous. Every single month you postpone eliminating credit card debt, charging you 22% interest represents another month where that debt compounds faster than virtually any investment you could reasonably anticipate making. Every month you ignore your employer's matching contribution is literally free capital you're abandoning on the table, and every month you funnel money into taxable investment accounts before exhausting your tax-advantaged alternatives represents money you're unnecessarily surrendering to the IRS. Before you invest even a single dollar anywhere, you need establishing an emergency fund. Now, I recognize this sounds incredibly boring. I understand you'd prefer hearing about which stocks will make you wealthy. But here is why this matters more profoundly than you realize. An emergency fund isn't merely about possessing money for unexpected expenses, though that is certainly valuable. It is about constructing a psychological safety barrier that prevents you from making catastrophic financial decisions when life inevitably delivers you something unexpected. When your vehicle breaks down or you encounter an unexpected medical bill, maintaining an emergency fund means you don't have to liquidate your investments at the absolute worst possible moment or accumulate high-interest debt to cover the expense. The question everyone poses is how much should you accumulate for emergencies? The conventional wisdom suggests 3 to 6 months of living expenses. But honestly, that range is so expansive, it is essentially worthless. The amount you require depends on multiple factors. If you possess a stable government position with excellent benefits, you might manage with 3 months of expenses. If you're a freelancer in a volatile industry with zero safety net, you might require closer to 6 months or potentially more. Here is my recommendation for most individuals. Begin by saving your first $1,000 as rapidly as possible. This covers most minor emergencies and provides that psychological safety barrier. Then progress toward 1 month of living expenses. Once you achieve that milestone, continue building until you reach 3 months of expenses. This methodology breaks down what can feel like an overwhelming objective into manageable segments. But here is something fascinating that most people don't grasp. Recent research from Vanguard discovered that people maintaining at least $2,000 in emergency savings had financial well-being scores that measured 21% higher than those without any emergency fund. That represented the largest boost connected to any financial factor they examined. $2,000 isn't life-altering money, but the psychological impact of possessing that buffer is tremendous. Once you've established your emergency fund, the following step is absolutely critical. You must eliminate all high-interest debt before you invest anything else. And when I reference high-interest debt, I'm discussing anything charging you more than approximately 8% annually, though the threshold can fluctuate depending on current market conditions. Credit card debt is the obvious antagonist here. With average interest rates exceeding 22%, credit card debt is financial poison. It expands faster than almost any reasonable investment return you could anticipate, which means carrying credit card debt while investing is like attempting to run a marathon wearing a backpack loaded with bricks. Mathematically, eliminating debt with a guaranteed high interest rate delivers a guaranteed return equal to that interest rate, which frequently exceeds what you can reasonably expect from equity markets after taxes. Let me provide perspective. If you're carrying $5,000 in credit card debt at 22% interest and you make only minimum payments, you'll surrender nearly $2,800 in interest across 5 years. That is capital that could have been working for you instead of against you. Every dollar you deploy to eliminate that debt is essentially earning you a guaranteed 22% return, which surpasses Warren Buffett's long-term average. The strategy for eliminating debt efficiently is straightforward. List all your debts with their interest rates and minimum payments. Pay the minimums on everything, then direct every extra dollar toward the debt with the highest interest rate. This is called the debt avalanche method, and it preserves you the most money mathematically. Some people prefer the debt snowball method, where you eliminate the smallest balances first for psychological momentum. But the avalanche method is more efficient. Here is where it becomes interesting, though. There is one major exception to the principle about eliminating debt before investing. And it is so important that it actually becomes the following step in our optimal investment hierarchy. If your employer offers matching contributions to your retirement plan, you should contribute enough to capture the full match, even before you finish eliminating high-interest debt. This might seem counterintuitive, but the mathematics is compelling. Employer matching is essentially a guaranteed 100% return on your investment up to the match limit. Even if you're carrying credit card debt at 22%, obtaining a 100% immediate return usually makes mathematical sense. It is like discovering money on the ground that your employer will double if you pick it up. Here is a typical scenario. Your employer might match 50 cents on the dollar up to 6% of your salary. If you earn $50,000 annually, contributing $3,000 to capture the full $1,500 match represents a 50% immediate return plus whatever your investments earn over time. No other investment opportunity can guarantee that kind of return. The key is contributing just enough to capture the full match, then redirecting all your extra money back toward eliminating high-interest debt. Once the debt is eliminated, you can increase your retirement contributions. This strategy maximizes your guaranteed returns while minimizing the duration you're paying high interest rates. This foundation of an emergency fund, debt elimination, and employer matching creates the bedrock of your financial house. Without these components in place, everything else you execute with investing is essentially building on quicksand. Once you've secured those foundational pieces, we transition into what I call the tax optimization zone. And this is where things become genuinely interesting. Most people completely botch this because they get distracted by shiny objects and skip directly to taxable investment accounts when they should be maximizing every tax advantage option available to them first. Now we reach maximizing your individual retirement account, and here is why this precedes putting additional money into your employer's 401k. Your IRA provides you far more control over your investment selections and typically comes with substantially lower fees than most employer plans. Corporate 401k plans are notorious for offering a limited menu of expensive mutual funds with management fees that can devour your returns like termites in a wooden structure. With an IRA, you can invest in low cost index funds and ETFs that charge fees of just a few basis points instead of the 1 to 2% fees common in many 401k plans. That might not sound substantial, but across decades, those fee differences can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. For 2025, you can contribute up to $7,000 to an IRA or $8,000 if you are 50 or older. Once you've maxed out your IRA contributions, then you can return to your employer's 401k and begin contributing beyond the match. But here's where the decision becomes more complex. You need choosing between traditional and Roth versions of these accounts. And the selection can literally save or cost you thousands in taxes throughout your lifetime. The decision distills to a simple question with a complicated answer. Do you want paying taxes now or later? Traditional accounts let you deduct contributions from your current taxable income, but you pay taxes when you withdraw the money in retirement. Roth accounts require you pay taxes up front, but then all your withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free. Here's the general principle that works for most people. If you are currently in a high tax bracket and expect being in a lower one in retirement, choose traditional accounts to obtain the tax deduction. Now, if you are in a lower tax bracket now but expect being in a higher one later, choose Roth accounts to pay the lower tax rate today. If you happen to have access to a health savings account, this is where things become genuinely exciting because HSAs might be the most underutilized investment vehicle in America. They read like the Swiss Army knife of tax-advantaged accounts, offering not one, not two, but 3 different tax benefits that make them absolutely incredible for the right people. You receive a tax deduction for contributions just like a traditional IRA. Your money grows tax-free while invested just like any retirement account. And here's the element that makes HSAs special. Withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are completely tax-free even in retirement. It is the only account that provides you tax benefits on the way in, while the money grows, and on the way out. For 2025, you can contribute up to $4,300 to an HSA if you have individual coverage, or up to $550 for family coverage. The limitation is that you need possessing a high deductible health plan to be eligible, which isn't appropriate for everyone. Here is the strategy that makes HSAs incredibly powerful. Pay for your current medical expenses out of pocket if you can afford to. And let your HSA money remain invested in the market. Keep all your medical receipts because there is no time limit on when you can reimburse yourself for qualified expenses. You could pay for a doctor visit today, keep the receipt, and reimburse yourself from your HSA 20 years from now tax-free. The mathematics on HSAs can be absolutely stunning. If you max out HSA contributions for 30 years and achieve a 7% annual return, you could possess over $400,000 in completely tax-free money available for medical expenses. Once you've maximized your HSA contributions, you return and max out your 401k contributions beyond the employer match. The 2025 contribution limit is $23,500 for most people, or $31,000 if you are 50 or older. You could potentially shelter over $35,000 annually from current taxation if you are under 50, or even more if you are eligible for catch-up contributions. Most people never progress past this point. The average American saves approximately 6% of their income, which usually isn't sufficient to max out even their employer match and IRA contributions, let alone everything else. But if you are one of those individuals who can actually work through this entire sequence, congratulations. You are already in the top 5% of savers in America. Once you work through all these tax-advantaged options, that is when we finally reach the step that most people want, starting with taxable investment accounts. Taxable investment accounts are where you can buy individual stocks, trade options, speculate on cryptocurrency, or just invest in index funds without any contribution limits or withdrawal restrictions. Here is the aspect about taxable accounts that drives me crazy. People become so excited about the flexibility and unlimited contributions that they completely forget about the tax drag. Every dividend payment gets taxed. Every time you sell an investment for a gain, the IRS wants their portion. The tax efficiency of keeping money in retirement accounts versus taxable accounts can be absolutely staggering over time. But here is where taxable accounts become valuable once you've maximized everything else. They offer complete flexibility. Need money for a house down payment in 5 years? No problem. Want retiring early before you can access your retirement accounts? Taxable accounts provide you the bridge funding you need. So there you have it. The optimal hierarchy for investing your money that most people completely ignore in their rush to get rich quick. Emergency fund, high interest debt, employer match, IRA, HSA, max out that 401k. Then finally taxable accounts. Follow this sequence, and you'll be building wealth while everyone else is still attempting to pick the next Tesla. Your future self will thank you for executing the boring stuff first. I am not a financial advisor, mortgage expert, or licensed financial professional. The content on this channel represents personal opinions only and is intended for educational and entertainment purposes. Please conduct your own research and seek professional guidance before making any major financial decisions. See you next time.